So, hello, my name is Dominik Schottenhammel. I'm the responsible sales manager for the DACH region at EnOcean. I would suggest I switch off my camera to save bandwidth for the rest of the introduction. For all the participants who are not familiar with EnOcean, I will say a few words. We are a manufacturer of sustainable and battery-free solutions for the building automation and smart offices, home, and let's say places in general market for more than 20 years. All these solutions are based on our energy harvesting technology, what means generating energy from switches and for sensors and switches for the environment via kinetic, solar, and temperature differences. So there are no batteries and cable needed. Yes, and there are, in the meantime, many of innovative and interesting solutions in the market. They're all based on that technology. And yeah, in that context, I'm really happy to introduce our partner Cogvis, and I would hand over to Mr. Planinc.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. Thank you also for the chance to talk a few minutes about our product and how we use EnOcean technology in our product. So for us, it was pretty clear. EnOcean is a very innovative company and technology. We are also a very innovative company providing new technology. So of course, from the mindset, there is a perfect fit, and we integrated this perfect fit also in our product perfectly. But let me start first to talk a few words about our company. So our company Cogvis was founded in 2007 as a spin-off of the Technical University of Vienna, and we are focusing on 3D sensors combining with artificial intelligence. So this means all kind of computer vision, deep learning, etc. And our focus is on the healthcare sector, so the B2B market, where we focus on digital care solutions. We developed with Cogvis AI a technology for a safe and healthier life. And our goal is to reduce the burden of care for caregivers and to have more time for the care process itself, which means like you have more time for the people again. But what is Cogvis AI and what does it do? Cogvis AI is a module-based system that offers different solutions in various areas. So we have three main areas where we offer solutions. Let me start on the right-hand side, the safety and security. The safety and security is a special development for psychosocial long-term care facilities, so mostly like psychiatric clinics. And here we protect nurses from aggressive behavior. So this means the patients in these rooms, they might be very aggressive and they might run to the nurse and just hit the nurse. And we can detect these kind of behavior and send an alarm in order to enable other nurses and other staff to rush by and help the nurse. Moreover, we can detect possible suicide attempts. So in this specific case, people are standing in front of the window for a longer amount of time and they might think of jumping out of the window in order to commit suicide. And this is also where we can provide support so that we send an alarm once a person is standing in front of the window for a longer time. Of course, this does not apply for like nursing homes or hospitals in general, but for psychiatric clinics, this is a very important feature. So what we are currently working on is also the field of dementia. So we already released the first modules here, like the absence detection. So with this, we are detecting once a person is getting out of the bed and not returning to the bed within a specific amount of time, like 15 minutes, for example. You can specify what is needed for this exact person, and then we send an alarm. So the person might not return to the bed due to various reasons. For example, they have a wandering, they want to run away, so they want to go out and just want to leave their room, or maybe they do not find their room back again. That's why we can send an alarm after a certain amount of time. And actually, what we are most familiar with, where we started actually, is the area of fall. So we started with a fall detection. So if you think that the sensor, the 3D sensor, is mounted to the wall or to the ceiling, it covers the whole room. And then we are able to detect falls immediately. This has, of course, the big advantage that once a fall happens, we can provide immediate support with the nurses, because we alert the nurses which are directly in place, and they rush by immediately. Normally in nursing homes, it's a bit different. There are some regular tours where the nurses walk every like 3 hours during the night shift and just have a look into the room and see if everything is fine, if a person has fallen, which means actually people, they might lie on the floor after a fall up to 3 hours until they're found. With our system, they're found immediately. But of course, detecting falls is very important, but it's even more important to prevent falls. So that's why we developed the fall prevention. And for the fall prevention, we detect 3 different types of mobilization stages. So the first one is once you lift your upper body. It's very, very early when you're raising your upper body. The second one is while the person is sitting. And the third one is once the person got up. So you can personalize our system depending on the specific needs of the resident. You can get an alarm for each single mobilization stage. So you can choose whether you want to get an alarm quite early or rather late. What we also learned is that artificial intelligence, it models like this exact behavior which is trained to that artificial intelligence. So this means it can exactly detect once you're raising your upper body, once you're sitting, or once you're getting up. But there are people out there in nursing homes and in hospitals who do not follow this kind of getting up as it would be usually done, but they somehow roll out of the bed. So that's why we introduced the virtual bed rail. So how does our system work exactly? So we're using a 3D sensor, I mentioned already. You can see here some 3D data. So 3D data, this means it's like a point cloud. It's distance measurements. Our system measures the distance to specific points within the room and then calculates a 3D point cloud out of it. And then we are calculating like this kind of visualizations as you see here. The big advantages of this 3D data in comparison to camera are that we're fully GDPR compliant because there's no personal data involved. And as you can see, you're not able to identify the person on the visualization. For the virtual bed rail, we just introduced, it's like you can imagine like a light barrier which is introduced close to the bed. You can set it up on your own. You can also use a directional functionality. So this means you can set up like a line in front of the bed, and only when the person is leaving the bed, for example, then an alarm is triggered, but not when a person is returning to the bed. So this, of course, allows for maximum security because there's no artificial intelligence involved and no interpretation mistakes can be done, because no matter how the person leaves the bed, you will get an alarm anyways. Of course, we tested it in our, not only in our office, in our facilities, but we are on the market since 2018 already. So we have a lot of experience with our customers, and it's really important for us that we talk closely and directly to our customers. And what we found out, for example, in Caritas in Preding, it's in Styria, that after they reviewed their internal statistics, and they found that through using our system, they were able to avoid falls. We know also from other facilities that this amount of reduction amounts up to more than 50% of the falls, which can be reduced when using our system, which is, of course, a huge number, not only as a relief for the caretakers, but also as a higher quality of life for residents. For the fall detection, I already talked a little bit about the fall detection itself. For the absence detection, this can be also used as an indirect kind of fall detection. So this means, for example, during the night, the person is getting up, going to the toilet. If there's no sensor installed on the toilet, for example, then our system also can send an alarm once the person is not returning after a specific amount of time. And we recently introduced the fall analysis feature. This was developed together with nursing homes because this was a specific feature. And as you can see here also, again, the visualizations for the fall detection, you see just just a silhouette of a person lying on the floor. And for fall analysis, there was the wish like that this single visualization is good to have, but it's not enough, because the issue here is that the nurses, they do not know how the fall actually happened. So they only find the person lying on the floor, but usually they do not have any clue how the fall had happened. They can ask the person what happened, but if the person cannot tell on their own, then of course it's just guessing. That's why we introduced the fall analysis feature. And actually, for the fall analysis feature, it's a series of visualizations. So you have, like, in this case, I think it's 10 different visualizations just stacked together and played as it would be a 3D video. And here you can gain many more insights. So for example, here, what you can see is that the person on a wheelchair is doing something on the bed. Maybe the person is trying to transfer himself from the wheelchair to the bed. And you see that the brakes of the wheelchairs, they're not active. That's why the wheelchair pushes back, and that's the reason why the person falls down. So in this case, for example, you can tell the person you need to activate the brakes. You need to make sure that the brakes are activated, or maybe install a handle where the person can simply just grip the handle in order to transfer him or herself to the bed. So you see that the fall analysis, of course, the fall had happened already, but there are many repeated falls. So this means, like, it's the same cause all the times, and it's the same reason why a person is falling. And with this feature, you're able to eliminate these repetitive falls, and also reduce the number of falls altogether due to these effects. How does alerting take place? Of course, alerting need to take place very easily, so that it's not complicated for nurses to react to the alerts. That's why we offer various types of alerts. So for example, the Cognis management platform is a platform where all the alarms are displayed. So where you can also see the visualizations in order to have, for example, the fall analysis feature, so that you know why the fall had happened. But actually, in an emergency situation like a fall, it is an immediate alarm need to be sent, and that's why we are integrated into the nurse call system. So nurse call system is already in place in nursing homes, in hospitals, etc. So we directly send an alarm to the nurses which are already in place. They receive it via their DECT phone, for example, and they can react immediately. And it does not interfere their processes. It does not change their processes, because they receive the alarm at the same way as they're used to, which is very important for the nurses. There's no additional work to be done. So we developed also an app already. So for the app, it's important that you can not only see that you received an alarm, but you can differentiate which alarm has been sent, which is usually not possible for the nurse call system. So let me explain you an example. For nurses, it's important to differentiate whether a fall prevention alarm has been sent or a fall detection alarm, because of course in both kind of alarms they need to rush to the room, but if a fall had happened, they need to pick up the emergency kit first and then run to the fall which has happened in order to care for the person, which is not necessary for the fall prevention alarm. And of course, we offer some API interfaces and also email. So for pairing with the nurse call system, it's rather easy. So we are compatible with all nurse call systems. You see here on different versions of nurse call systems. So we integrate directly in the nurse call system. And this is actually where we're coming to the features of InOcean and why InOcean buttons are so important for us. So we have an easy installation of the InOcean buttons. So you see the button here on the left side. We install in each and every room such a small button where you can push 0 and 1. So this means that you can deactivate our system and activate our system. So this works with the PTM216Z. So it's battery free, which is really, really important for us because, of course, our sensor itself needs a power supply, but from that, nothing else is needed. So this is really important for refitting older and existing nursing homes. So only like the power supply need to be installed. We do not need a LAN cable, Ethernet cable. We do not need Wi-Fi. We have SIM cards built in, so it's like a plug-and-play solution. And that's why it was also very important for a button to be also as easy to install as possible. So with Enotion, this is really great because there's no battery powered. We had some experiences with other buttons before we started the cooperation with Enotion, which were battery powered. And I mean, you can imagine the effort which needs to be taken in order to change all the batteries after like 3 months, because the nurses, they push the button very often. So that's why we found here a perfect solution, which is like easy to install and there is no support needed afterwards. So, but maybe coming one step back, what's the reason? Why did we install this button in order to turn the system off? Like if the nurse enters a room, that's what we experienced. They walk to the residents, they help the residents, for example, by putting their shoes on. And since the focus of our system is to detect every person who is somehow close to the floor, lying to the floor, sitting on the floor, because these are usually people who are not able to get up on their own. Again, our system is very sensitive to this kind of events. So no matter, I mentioned before, we are not able to differentiate the people. So no matter who is sitting on the floor or who is kneeling on the floor, our system triggers an alarm. And this is exactly what happens when a nurse walks in, for example, and put on the shoes of the residents. They usually kneel in front of the residents, put on their shoes, and our system detects, oh, there's a person on the floor, so let's send an alarm. Of course, since the nurses are already in the room themselves, this is not desired by the nurse, and that's why it's good that they can enter the room, they can turn off our system, which means there's no alarm sent. Also, of course, in terms of privacy issues, if employees, they might think, okay, what is the system exactly doing? It's easy for them to just simply turn it off and nothing is happening anymore. And after leaving the room, they need to turn on the system again. But of course, if they might forget to turn on the system again, then our system activates itself automatically again after a specific amount of time. It's also, you can set it, usually it's approximately like 15 minutes, then our system is activated again. Of course, it's really important that the transmission, we're using the Zigbee version so that the transmission to our sensor works wirelessly, because installing a huge amount of cables is a huge effort. And this is really a great solution where it's really simple, plug and play. You just need to enter the serial number of the button into our system, and then they are both connected and they work out of the box. So our system is already installed in more than 100 nursing homes throughout Austria, but also in other countries like Switzerland, for example, and also Russia and some other countries as well. And we gained already a lot of experience, which is really important for us. So we learn from our customers on a daily basis. We want to understand their use cases much better in more detail, because it's just the beginning for us. These use cases I presented, they're just the start. There are so many more use cases where we can provide support. And that's why we're in active contact and exchange with nurses and nursing home providers in order to extend our solution, or to implement more modules, which are also fitting and supporting nurses in their everyday business. We're very proud that we received already a bunch of awards. So the last one was the EUB, which was awarded by the Austrian Ministry. Also, the European Product Design Award was given to us due to our design. And yeah, the next steps is to have an international rollout of our system. And I'm very looking forward to your questions now, and would like to thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Planich, for this really interesting presentation. In the meantime, we received a lot of questions, and I would suggest I will read it, and I'm pretty sure you will be happy to answer that.
Definitely.
Yeah, the first one, how can you ensure that privacy of residents is protected?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I just mentioned it briefly. So we are using a 3D sensor, so there is no camera involved, but which means there is no camera picture. It's all like the distance information which is available, and also due to this reason, we do not have personalized data. So we're not falling under the GDPR. But nevertheless, we're treating all the data as it would be within the GDPR in order to make extra effort in order to protect the data, because we fully understand, even though it's not personalized data, it's really important to protect the data.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there's another one. How many sensors are already installed in nursing homes? How many alarms are triggered by your sensors approximately?
There are already almost 1,000 sensors installed in nursing homes. And the alarms, we just did an analysis like I think 2 weeks ago, and it was very interesting. We analyzed all the alarms from the beginning, like the beginning of 2018, and we detected more than 30,000 falls already. And there were more than 1 million prevention alarms which were already sent by our system. So you can imagine we already prevented a huge number of falls, and this is actually what makes us really, really proud that our solution is really making an impact.
Okay. Yeah, it would be great if alarms are documented in the patient's record automatically. Is there a way how this could be achieved?
Yes, so we are already in contact with some electronic patient record manufacturers. So of course, since our system, all the information is available already in our system, it's quite straightforward in order to implement an interface to the documentation systems and to integrate, for example, the fall analysis directly into the nurse documentation system, or maybe also the other way around in order to extend our system so that we can provide more information for the fall analysis system, that nurses can enter additional information and then save it as documentation. Because I think to have like an easy documentation process is key and also saves a lot of time.
Okay, I would suggest we will answer one last questions, and all other questions we will answer via email afterwards. Last question, is the system also available for private homes?
Not yet. So of course, the private home market is very important because the ultimate goal needs to be that people stay as long and as safe as possible in their own homes. But for now, we're focusing on the B2B market, on like nursing homes, assisted living facilities, hospitals, rehabilitation clinics, because what we found out through the last 3 years is that there are so many use cases we can support, so that we want to make a perfect product for this area and then focus on the private homes afterwards.
Okay. So I would say we closed this webinar with the last slide where you can find our contact details.
I'm sorry, yes. I'm just seeing that there's an I missing. So in my email address, it's cogos.ai, not A, obviously.
Oh, okay. We noticed that, and I think so also our participants. And yes, the other one is mine, and that's the correct one. Okay, thank you all for participation, and yeah, we're happy to hear from one or two of them, and yeah, thank you and have a nice day.
Also from my side, thank you very much, and if you have any questions, just drop me an email and I'm more than happy to answer. Thank you very much.